get going and call the meeting to order. Okay, so the first action item is to approve the order of the agenda.
So moved. Okay,
I'll
second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Or was I too quick on the all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? No. Okay, so that's passed. And then the minutes of the January 21st meeting.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. That one's approved as well. That was one of the first times I've done that without my notes that have prompted me on that little soliloquy there. So feeling good about that. And we got Sunny over on that side to give us the staff report.
The deets. All right. So, staff development activities. We do have a new LA2. So the next time you're in at Maine, say hi to Allison. And then we are reviewing applications for the page position. She was promoted from the page position to LA2. So we're looking to fill that one now. And then last week, yes.
Can you remind me what LA2 does?
The LA2s are the full-time circulation supervisors. We exist at all of the locations where it's easiest to think of us as shift supervisors, basically, for the circulation department.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then last week, we had our annual soup week. So staff signed up and brought soup in every day of the week, and then the staff development team and the friends provided the funds to give us all the carbs that we needed to soak up that soup. So it was a good time. So we thank the friends for funding that. Programming. If you have been in the library recently, you know that we have that big traveling Harry Potter exhibit. So that is Renaissance Science, Magic and Medicine in Harry Potter's World, and that was provided by the History of Medicine Division of the National Library of Medicine. So that's going to be sticking around until March 21st. And we have a bunch of programs that are kind of going around that theme. A big multi-generational one that we have coming up is herbology, crafting never die plants for the home at the main library. So they're making paper plants, and that's gonna be open to teens and adults. And that is February 22nd at 7 p.m. Coming up in children's, on the 22nd, we have an escape room for kids. This one is aimed for kids grades 1 through 6, and registration is required for that one. March 3rd, not Harry Potter related, we're gonna have hip hop, libraries, storytime and dance. So Gasper's School of Dance is back, and the FM Ballet, and they're gonna go through a hip hop routine with the kids. This is for children ages 3 and up. Then we're going to have our annual Seuss-tastic birthday on the 7th. That's just open to everyone of all ages. It's a big event that we put on every year. Cindy Ludahl in the children's department, all of them work really hard on it. March 7th, Main Library, 3 p.m. We are having magical creature crafts. This is for children age 6 to 12, and pre-registration is required for that one as well. Upcoming for teens, we have a Great Science for Teens Harry Potter edition. That's going to be at the Carlson Library, and that's for kids grades 6 through 8. And then we'll have 2 sessions of our Winged Mobile sessions. So those will be on March 9th at the main library at 4 p.m. and then March 12th at the Northport Library at 4 p.m. We have a few items coming up on the adult agenda. February 22nd, a lot of things going on the 22nd, so you guys should just come, bring your kids, and camp out all day. It'll be great. 22nd at the Dr. James Carlson Library at 2 p.m., we're going to have a writing workshop with Larry Woywoody, and this is part of the Northern Narratives Project, so we're bringing in, he's the poet emeritus, I believe, of North Dakota, yes. He will be going over people's final drafts for submission for that project.
Hey, Sunny.
Yes.
Could you explain Northern Narratives again? I was trying to tell someone about it, and
Yeah.
I got stopped at, you can write for it.
Yes. So Northern Narratives is an annual writing project that we started for amateur writers, just to give teens or people who wanted to always write but had no idea how to get involved with the process. This is a platform for that. So people can write among our 3 different categories: poetry, essay, or short story. They submit them to us. We send out everything. We anonymize everything, send it out to a bunch of community judges. They go through, judge everything. We get back, compile all the scores, and then we produce it into a book that comes out usually in the fall.
Does all of it get put into the book? Or
No,
just the,
unfortunately, no. We haven't put an exact cap on how many pieces. It's more of like a page number kind of thing. So we've been taking approximately the top 25% of all pieces, but that can vary a little bit from year to year.
So is this something you could check out, the Northern Narratives book, at the library?
Yep, we have circulating copies in the nonfiction section, and we have non-circulating copies that are part of the North Dakota collection.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll skip down actually a little bit because we have another author coming in for that exact same project. For those of you who are familiar with Marcy Rinden, she will be at the Northport Library at 1, kind of doing the same thing, but she's going to be more so focusing on kind of like initial drafts or workshopping kind of middle drafts instead of end. And she will actually be here the very next day at the main library at 2 p.m. Featuring her latest book, Girl Gone Missing, and a book signing will follow her talk.
She's local? She's somebody from North Dakota?
She is from North Dakota. I'm blanking on what town she lives in. Unless, does Beth have an idea? No? Okay. Yeah, but she's also local-ish.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, does anybody have any questions for Sunny? Have you guys had a lot of attendance at the Harry Potter stuff going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of attendance.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Are the kids like dressing up and?
You know, I haven't seen that,
Oh.
but now that you've said it,
Yeah.
people know, please dress up
Please.
because we love that.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, any questions for Sunny? No. Yes. Maybe. No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Sunny.
you're welcome.
And good job, as always, to the staff for coming up with such creative ideas and providing a bunch of stuff for a bunch of different folks. So, okay. So the next thing we have is the director's report.
Yes, per your packet, you can see a number of things, major things this past month, looking at certainly quarterly project meetings with department heads, looking at different projects, working towards strategic plan goals. Other stuff there, met with the Chamber Business Development Manager, so it was fun. Attended North Dakota Library Coordinating Council Zoom meeting for a good 3 hours. A Zoom meeting is always fun. Meeting with the architects, looking at moving the project along for the reconfiguration for the marketing experience up on the second floor at Main, and begin to really hone in on the corporate sponsorship for One Book, One Community. So,
How's that going, the corporate sponsorship?
well, the one thing that we have to do is where we are in the process is nail down the author, the timeline, the contract with the author, and get all that has to be in place. And in my discussion with Lori West this morning, she believes that she'll have that by the end of the week, and then we can start moving that forward. So.
Okay. Well, good. Okay. Does anybody have questions for Tim so far? Okay.
I
Oh,
do.
yes.
Tim, could you explain your partnership with the Chamber? What are your goals with the
Sure.
Chamber, working
You
with
know,
them?
we attend the Chamber after hours meetings on a regular basis, various staff, which is always a good time, a good presence. We've, in meeting with this gentleman, we've worked where they've highlighted some of our stuff, no cost, and some of the Chamber stuff. Certainly, In the past, I've been on the Public Affairs Committee, kind of rotated off of that, but we're always looking at opportunities to work with them and see how we can have our presence with the business community, so just a constant discussion, relationship going forward, so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Tim? No. Okay. Well, we'll get to the circulation and stuff a little bit down the road. So then I guess we'll move on to unfinished business, which there is none. So we've been good at taking care of our business. We'll go on to new business then. And the first one is the Library Board Orientation Committee update. Do you want to, who do you want to?
I'll start out. We
Hey.
had the first meeting, and everybody else can chime in that was part of it. Basically narrowed it down to a series of documents. Certainly if you go online and type in library board orientation, there's as many variances on a theme as there is the number of libraries. So basically, board members on the committee have been working through documents from Kentucky, Nebraska, the Public Library Trustee Ethics Statement, also stuff from the North Dakota State Library in terms of guidelines and the trustee manual. So that's up to those folks then.
Yeah.
With those various kind of pull and tug and pull together from that. Certainly, I believe that the decision was certainly the documents that we have been using will remain as part of the process as well. We're just looking to enhance other aspects of the process. So I don't know if you have any more to add.
Just, I thought the meeting went, so us four went here, and it's open, they're open meetings, so anybody can come to them, but I thought it was really productive. We stuck to the hour time limit, and I sure learned a lot, and we're meeting again next week. So the discussion I felt was fruitful. I felt like I'm looking forward to next week already. Sincerely, I am. I thought it was really good. So
When are you meeting next week?
where we are, same time as this, so 4 to 5 next Tuesday, and then we met at, I forget the specific room name.
It's the FERCO
Oh, the FERCO one.
FERCO
Okay.
conference room at the main library
So
at
when
4
you were
o'clock.
part of the strategic planning,
Right,
so
right.
those back rooms back there, yeah. So if you want to come, they're open. So yeah, so yeah. I mean, I don't know if I was the only one. Maybe I'm nerdy and should adjust my glasses when I say it, but I thought it was good. So yeah. So yeah. So if anybody wants to join next week, Tuesday, 4 to 5, FERCO room at the main library.
And how many people attended?
Well, us three and Tim, and then Whitney participated. She had a sick kid, so she participated via conference call, so we got her in on it. And it was open to the community, so anybody, could show up. Nobody did last time. It was sort of like our meetings here. But yeah, feel free if you want to come next week, yeah. So, and we did kind of we shot for a timeline of when we would like to have this project kind of wrapped up, and we shot for about 3 months is what we were looking at to try to get this all out the door and solidified. So I think that's doable. So okay, anybody else wanted to say anything about that? No. Okay, then let's move on to the overview of outreach services and volunteers by Pam Strait.
Hi, I'm Pam Strait. I'm the Outreach and Volunteer Coordinator for the library. Our outreach department, for those of you who don't know us, welcome to the board. We take the library out to those people who cannot come in. So we currently have 20 sites that we visit either weekly or twice a week or twice a month or once a month, along with a number of homebound individuals that we serve. They're, for the most part, nursing homes, but also senior congregate housing sites like One Oak Place or what are some of the others? Good Sam. And then some also senior apartment housing, senior centers that are sort of combined into one, like Trollwood Village. Those sites keep us pretty busy. between 2.5 full-time staff, FTE. We've got all of those 20 sites and a host of about a dozen volunteers who help us keep those running. We are just getting started with some outreach programming. We hadn't done any for a long time. Last year saw us inaugurate a quarterly program of programs that we offered to our site partners, and the three of us in outreach, plus one reference staff, filled all 4 quarters of last year. In attendance so far, we had more than 1,000 in attendance at all of those programs last year. They're informational, they're travelogue, they're entertaining programs, and we post those on a website, a Calendly website. We let our partners know when and where they can sign up, and they just pick a spot. And then each of us does a quarter. So as many visits as we can cram in a 3-month period. A lot of those include things like a PowerPoint presentation, a ton of pictures. People like to see the pictures. Food and drink, a craft. So last year we had an Australian adventure, Welcome Aboard the Titanic, a visit to the Oregon Trail, and Finding Amelia, about Amelia Earhart. And again, more than 1,000 people in attendance in all of those programs together. This year, we're starting out with Ciao Italia, another travelogue. A Western songbook. One of our reference staff is going to go along and take his guitar and tell a story with songs. It'll be amazing. And quarters 3 and 4 are still TBA. But we have had over 200 attendants so far this year. Claire, our halftime outreach person, had 78 at One Oak Place just last week. So the program is going over really well, and our folks, we are on track to exceed last year's attendance. We are preparing to start a large print book club. We're waiting on confirmation now with Ed Clapp Senior Center. Currently, there are a lot of book clubs out of the library and in the community, and they're all wonderful. One of the things that's going to set us apart is we're going to be offering multiple large print copies, which is something that our seniors very much appreciate, and some of them actually have to have. They can't read regular print anymore. It'll be a new title every other month. The titles are TBA right now, and some of those may become Book Club in a Bag selections for the Fargo Public Library. We already have a number of really great things, but very few of them have any large print in them, and those that do, it's capped at 2. We're also getting ready to start a books by mail program, which will take the place, we hope, of a lot of our homebound visits, where we just mail things out and people mail them back. It's at no cost to the library, it's at no cost to the resident. So we feel like it's a win-win situation. It'll be very much like the state library's program where you mail free matter for the blind. Legally, there has to be some sort of visual impairment, so most of you that I can see from here would qualify because you're wearing glasses. But, you know, that's not actually what we're striving to do, who we're striving to serve. But it's not like we have to have a doctor's prescription for this. We can take a look and make sure that people are needing the program. And then it's going to save us, it's going to be a time saver for us partially, instead of sending a human being out to a single home. We are currently preparing for our annual volunteer appreciation event in April. We hope you'll be getting information about that as soon as we have more details available. But we hope that you will all come and join us for that. You guys are volunteers as well, and we want to say thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes.
Awesome.
I have questions.
Go ahead.
For your outreach programming, is that just aimed to the people you go out to visit? Do you go take that programming out to the sites? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what we're saying. Although we are reaching through the outreach programming many more people than actually use the library service. I was at New Horizons this afternoon. I want to say I have 10 regular people who come and check out from me twice a month. But if we take a program to them, we're going to hit 40 or 50.
Yeah. So you're not holding it at the library, you're going out and bringing
We're going
these
out to the
community.
sites, that's where we're going. Otherwise, it sort of defeats the purpose of outreach.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
Carlos.
I was going to ask, your outreach program, your services, do they also deal with the interlibrary loans?
We do not. And the reason that we can't offer our outreach patron interlibrary loans is because the library who lends those items to us determines when they are due back. And there is fineage if something comes back late. For all of our outreach patrons at our sites, they're not currently getting assessed any fines for items that are a little bit late coming back. We bill for stuff that goes missing, stuff that never comes back. But for late items, one of the ways that we can encourage our seniors to keep reading is that they can have that book in their hand as long as they need to, as long as nobody else is waiting for it. If there's a waiting list, that's another matter. But as long as something comes back, we're not fining our outreach patrons. We wouldn't be able to do that with interlibrary loan because we don't control that due date. So anytime somebody wants something that we can't get, we will set them up with a personal card. We'll take the paperwork out to the site, we'll get everything done, and let them do their own, by phone probably, ordering of those interlibrary materials.
Thank you.
I got a couple questions. Well, first I'll do a plug for the volunteer appreciation event, because last year you organized that, right?
Yeah.
The one at the Inspire Lab?
Yes.
Yes, and that was a great time.
Oh my gosh, wasn't that a
That was
terrific
fun,
place?
yeah,
That,
there was
I
all these-
can't remember. Tim was awesome at the banana piano. I
Yes,
just will point
'cause-
that out.
You could play music with the
I didn't know such a thing existed until that moment.
Nor
but I
did
was
any
there.
of us.
They had wires connected to like bananas that made different noises so it was like a piano, but it was bananas,
awesome.
and there was ice cream sundaes, and
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We do an annual appreciation for all of our volunteers, and we feed them, and they have their gifts that they get to give and or get to choose from, and mostly it's just an opportunity for us to just say thank you so much for everything that you do for us all year long. We try to say thank you on a daily basis when we see our volunteers, and tell them how amazing we think that they are. But this is a really concrete, solid way for us to express our appreciation. And I do hope that you will all come. I don't know that we'll ever be able to top Inspire Lab. That was an amazing place, but we'll find something fun.
so plug for folks to go to that because that was fun. And then a couple questions. So how would people? So it sounds like you go to a lot of the senior communities, but how do folks identify? You mentioned some homebound folks, and how do people? Especially for those who may be watching, how do you identify people to add to the homebound list, or how do you identify folks in general?
It's a great question. We don't. Most of them self-identify, or they have family who identify them for us. For instance, I have just been out last week to see a woman who actually lives at one of our sites, but she is bedbound and can't get out of her bed. And so I went out and we made a card for her, and so she has a device which her sister sent, and I had some instructions for her to how to use that, how to download books, how to use Overdrive and Libby, and she was off to the races. So most times people will self-identify. They'll call me and say, how can I get this service? And we get them set up.
Okay. And then I was wondering if you guys ever do any, I get the whole idea is that programming comes to them, but do you guys ever do anything like field trips? Like I'm thinking in terms of like the one book, one community. So let's say, several of these folks wanted to participate in that, and then they wanted to go see the author visit. Do you guys ever bring them to an event, like a library event like that, where they could, partake in that?
We don't, and that's mostly because we don't have the transportation available. We have one little library van that's sort of on one wheel most of the time. But we know that a lot of our sites do have transportation, and so we keep them posted about what's available programming-wise if they want to bring people in, especially for things that like the One Book, One Community, which gets amazing response from from our seniors.
One of Pam's major jobs with the sites, and Pam can touch on this, is, maintaining that relationship with the events coordinators at the various sites. Those are the key people to exactly what you're talking about. Now, there's always a certain level of turnover that Pam experiences, and, get smart people and they move on and what have you. But certainly, I think through that relationship, we're communicating certainly what we can bring them and certainly what we have on site in terms of programs. And, certainly, I think transporting folks is, I don't think we're bonded, and like Pam said, that van, I don't think it's quite it's good for moving books around, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It scares me to think about patrons in that thing.
No. Please.
Can I ask another one?
I was done.
Do you provide or for checkout or do seniors need any magnifying glasses for reading or?
Our Friends organization, who is just, that organization is so tremendous. A number of times over the last couple of years, they have given us money departmentally to purchase things like that. So we have 3 kinds of magnifiers right now that patrons can check out just like a book. And we have sent a couple of domes to little lighted dome magnifiers. You press a button and it lights up underneath and you just move it across the page, or you can work underneath it with needlework or something like that. That live at the branches right now, I think, and you can use while you're there. We can check those out directly to our outreach patrons, and they're starting to get some real use. We have magnifier bars that you just move down the page as you're reading, and we also have a tabletop magnifier with legs that flip out, or you can wear it on a string around your neck and read pretty normally. Again, our Friends organization just does tremendous work for us.
Great, that's awesome. I like that. That answer is awesome. And then for someone that's homebound or a nursing home that isn't in the program yet, how can they connect with you? Can you, just in case people are watching, can you?
Oh, it's pretty easy. For people who live at one of our partner sites, they just come out to see us, and we have a regular set schedule that we're at all of our sites. For folks who are homebound, they're welcome to give me a call. And that's actually how most of our homebound visits get set up. But again, we're hoping to move those folks to service by mail within the next 2 months.
And my last
I'm happy to give my phone number if that would be helpful. My office is 701-241-8111. Call me. We will get you set up with books.
Thank you. And then my last question is, do you need any volunteers, and where are you going with your volunteer program, or are you guys capped at what you guys need right now?
We are not. I am always on the search for outreach volunteers. It's a commitment of about 10 hours a month once you get past training. And that's spread out just over, it's a twice a month gig, essentially. You come in and select books, you pack them up and take them out to a site, you check them out to these book crazy seniors. They are an amazing set of readers, I have to tell you. Then you pack it all up and you bring it back. Somebody else checks in for you, somebody else checks out for you, and we train folks how to do everything. If anybody is interested in that, I would love an opportunity to talk with them about it. We don't have a lot of availabilities for shelving volunteers. People who are in those volunteer positions tend to stay in those volunteer positions, and so we really only advertise and recruit for those when we have an opening. A lot of people would love to do that. I wish I had more opportunities to give them, but we just don't have much right now. But I'm always looking for amazing outreach people.
Good. Who else has questions for Pam? All right. Well, Pam, that was very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
coming and
appreciate
answering all our questions.
the opportunity to talk about outreach anytime.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Tim, for bringing her here. I think it was your idea, so thanks for doing that. Okay, let's move on to statistical reports. We'll start off with January usage.
Right. Per your packet, you can see that January circulation for 2020 was down a little over 2% over last year. I think some of the drivers there was we're no longer counting paperbacks, one thing. There were fewer renewals and kind of the steady decline in terms of physical media to a certain degree. In terms of, we had 631 new registered patrons in January. So you can see our amount, total registrations is just under 37,000. Visits was down 8% over last year, primarily a decline in Carlson, a little over 2,000 visits there. Program attendance was up 12% over last year, about 166 more folks visiting the programs. Volunteer hours up in January over last January, about 27%. Internet signups down 19%. Webpage hits up 21%, a little over 4,000 compared to last year.
Internet sign up is just for folks to get a card on?
No, that's just, they want to come in and use one of the public internet stations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then with the approximate number of patrons that we have in the new registration, do you guys, we always hear about the new people that have signed up each month, but do you guys have some sort of how to, like, let's say somebody hasn't been there in 6 years. Do you have, is there a time?
Oh, yeah, there's a parameters that they're no longer
Considered
active,
active?
and
Okay.
then they're just purged from the system.
Okay, and then they
So
have
it's, so actually with the newer system that we moved to back in 2016, this is a lot easier. So this is a much tighter number in terms of active patrons than we had prior to our migration to the new system. Newer system, it's been several years, but.
So then the people who are kind of timed out, do they have to go through the process of getting a new card?
They just have to show up with some current, with a piece of ID or something that shows their current address, and they can
Start the
renew.
process. Okay. Anybody else have questions so far?
Yeah, well, it's very helpful to see this compared to the previous year. But I was wondering if maybe twice a year you could show us over the last few years, you know?
Oh, sure.
That's kind of, that would
I
be,
mean, in total circulation?
yeah, so that we could compare it to.
Oh, I have just the report, I can bring it next time.
Okay, but again, we don't need to see it every time, but.
No, absolutely, I can
yeah,
bring that,
That's great.
yeah.
Other questions, comments? Okay, let's move on to the finances.
Okay, in terms of donations, received $29 from anonymous patrons, and also $1,000 from the Friends, thank you Friends, for Craft Noons. On the expense side, $27 was spent for the North Port program music. That was also an anonymous donation for the Northport Library. You see an expenditure of $613 for Craft Noons. Thank you again, Friends. And also $348 for the book page subscriptions, also from the Friends. So thank you, Friends.
Thank you, friends. Okay,
Looking at total budget just through the end of January, 8% of the year lapsed. We're just under that in terms of expenditures total, so just getting started on the 2020 budget expenditures, all's well. And in revenue, you can see it's just over $3,000 through the end of January in terms of revenue.
any questions for Tim? No. Okay, well, thank you, Tim. All right, so Friends of the Library report, we don't have any friends here. But thank you.
Nothing
They've-
but friends here.
all of us are friends, but we don't have any friends in the library here. But thank you. We always hear, even if they're not here, thank you out to them because we always hear about the work that they're doing. No public here for public comment. So that brings us to our next regular meeting is March 17th.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, is that St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay,
So we all go out
Yeah.
afterwards
We'll have to
for
coordinate.
corned beef and cabbage,
that's right.
some Guinness.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see everybody then St. Patrick's Day, and the meeting's adjourned.